Good day, everyone. We are the Group 4, and today we're gonna talk about jazz dance, its history, characteristics, styles, and more. But before anything else, let's watch first a video of jazz dance to give you an idea of what this dance look like.
You say the neon lights are bright on Broadway, on Broadway. You say there's always magic in the air, on Broadway. And when you're walking down the street and you ain't had enough to eat, little does I hop and you're nowhere.
What is jazz dance? Jazz dance. It is a fun dance style that relies heavily on originality and improvisation. Most individuals who dance to jazz dance create their own moves and style while dancing to jazz dance. Many jazz dancers mix different styles into their dancing, incorporating their own expression. So when we talk about originality, you create your own, so they mix different dance styles and they suit their expressions to their moves. Dancing is energetic and fun. It's fun and consists of unique moves, fancy footwork, big leaps, and quick turns. So to excel in jazz dance, dancers need a strong background in ballet, as it requires grace and balance while dancing to it. So jazz dance is any dance to jazz accompaniments composed of a fusion of forms. So jazz accompaniments could be piano, saxophone, or trumpets. Inspired by the African slave dances in the United States, the southern plantation owners would encourage their slaves to perform. So out of boredom, the plantation owners encouraged their slaves to perform something that could entertain them. Seen as an uplifting recreational activity and was therefore healthy for the both slaves' psyche or mind and as well as their bodies or physique. So it became a recreational activity and it is helpful to maintain the healthy body of the African slaves. First brought to the stage by a white dancer mimicking the black slaves they had seen. jazz has gone through a turbulent history or chaotic history, transforming from what was once considered one of the most lewd and inappropriate forms of dance to one of the more widely known and practiced. So, after being treated like inappropriate dance, it became famous, and most countries dance to this. Today, jazz is even blended with the other forms of dance and music to create slightly different flavored styles such as theater jazz, contemporary jazz, lyrical jazz, and jazz funk. Traditional and modern jazz dance before the 1950s, jazz dance referred to dance styles that originated from African American vernacular dance, or that dance they used to kill some time or to kill the boredom. In the 1950s, a new genre of jazz dance, modern jazz dance, emerged with roots in Caribbean traditional dance. Every individual style of jazz dance has roots traceable to one of these two distinct origins.
And now, let's explore the history of jazz dance. Origins of jazz dance. People of African and Caribbean descent performed dances that represented different cycles of life, including birth, puberty, marriage, and death. So sa una, kaning mga African and Caribbean people, every time na ay patay, kasal, puberty, and birth, ilan ning i-perform ang dance. Mura siya a way of celebrating an event. Africans were brought into America as slaves and were subjected to the restriction on a European-dominated culture. Because of the European-dominated culture, dance was therefore regulated into a form of socialization and entertainment instead of religious rituals. So since ang mga Africans kay nahimo namang slaves sa Americans, mas nangibabaw ang power, ang culture sa mga European. And even the dance nga sa una i-perform sa mga Africans based on the religious beliefs or na mga rituals, ang mga European ilang gilahi. Ang dance kay gina-perform na for entertainment and socialization, not only for religious purposes. Next, Americans realized they could relate themselves to certain characteristics of Africans in the 19th century. This led to the rise of minstrel shows. The Roaring 20s and 1930s, sumuni siya ang beginning of the jazz age. Popular dance steps were introduced such as the jitterbug or swing dance, boogie-woogie, so it has a fast, strong, and steady beat. The Lindy Hop, it has a solid, low, relaxed, and energetic beat. Singing and dancing to songs on the radio became popular throughout this era. So, aling nga time, hilig na ang mga tao pagpamina sa mga radio, sabayan sa og kanta, and sayaw. Broadway producers saw an opportunity to hire dancers and have them appear in shows. The 1940s World War II era. World War II brought down the popularity of social jazz dance. So pag World War II, of course, dili na kaayo popular, dili na kaayo giila or gitangkilik sa mga tao ang jazz dance, maybe because of the war. Jazz dance technique was becoming more professionalized with influences such as ballet and modern. New music styles were introduced such as rockabilly, R&B, and classic rock and roll. Young kids began reviving and or introducing new dances. So since nilas naman ang popularity sa jazz dance, ang mga tao na anadaylaing kalingawan, and muna siyang mga R&B, mga rock and roll niya. Ang mga bata sa una, nag-introduce na sad sila og new dances. So mura siyang new era, new dance. Media outlets such as American Bandstand promoted these latest styles. Pag 1950s era, jazz dance was incorporated into stories used in musicals and stage shows such as Singin' in the Rain, choreographed by Jenny Kelly in 1952, starring Jen Kelly and Debbie Reynolds. So sa una, ang jazz dance nang ginasayaw lang for when it comes to religious matters. Ani nga era, 1950s, gina-perform niya siya sa mga musical shows such as Singing in the Rain, original Broadway production of West Side Story, choreographed by Jerome Robbins in 1957, then turned into a film in 1961, starring Natalie Wood and Richard Beymer. So, aside sa musical shows, na-incorporate sa ning Just Dance sa film. 1960s era, the British invasion drastically disrupted dance music. So pag-invade sa British colony, masyag nawala or like nahagsa or naguba ang dance music industries. American Renaissance trends such as soul, folk rock, and other West Coast styles took over the music and dance industry. So since nawala naman siya pag-invade sa Britain, dili na siya ang trending or ang dance craze. Napulihan na siya glaing trends such as soul, folk rock, and other West Coast styles. Dance music was forced underground in the mid-60s and later repopularized in the 1970s. So, pag mid-60s, mura siyang nawala sa spotlight. But later on, pag 1970s, it was repopularized and revived.
We're down to the characteristic of jazz dance. Number 1 is the isolations. It involves moving individual parts of your body without moving the rest, either quickly or slowly depending on the dance. Like a dancer is isolate one specific part of her body such as rib cage or wrist. Next one is the syncopation. It places rhythmic stress in areas where it normally isn't found, like on the second and the fourth beats. This is one of the ways that jazz maintains such an improvised feel, even when it's not improvised. Syncopation feels unexpected, sometimes even forced, but breaks up normal rhythms into unique patterns. Like in this syncopation, it is ascending an offbeat or note of the musical accompaniment that surprises the audience. The next one is the rhythm. It is a way to connect with the rhythm through movement, dance, and drumming. It is path of awareness to be with oneself, a rhythmical being, acknowledging the powers of rhythm has to offer. During a part, the body is grounded, rhythm is visible, and emphasis on the groove, and also a diverse and energetic dance.
So the next characteristics of jazz dance is the use of pelvis. So neutral pelvic alignment, it can help us to achieve efficient execution of dynamic movements and steady position, and therefore more effective muscles recruitment. So through the use of pelvis, it can help us to achieve efficient execution of different movements and steady position, and therefore we can gain more effective muscles recruitments. But not only might neutral pelvis will facilitate to our body movements in general, but it also seems to improve specific action at hip and lumbar spine. So as you can see in the screen, there are two pictures. So the first picture shows the right execution of the different movements, and the second one represents the steady position through the use of pelvis. The next characteristics of jazz dance is bent knees. So, plie is a French term meaning to bend or bending. So, there are two principles of plie: a grand plie and a demi plie. A grand plie is a full knee bend wherein the knees should be bent until the thighs are horizontal, in which the heels always rise off the ground except when a dancer is in second position and are lowered again as the knees straightens. So the first picture in the screen represent a grand plie wherein the knees should be bent until the thighs are horizontal, and the second picture represent a demi plie, which looks like a half bend where the heels do not come off the floor. Next is the rotations. A rotation is a turn of the body in a vertical axis. It is usually a complete rotation of the body, although quarter 90-degree and half 180-degree turns are possible for some types of turns. So of course, in rotations, it depends the types of turns. It could be 90-degree or it could be half 180-degree turns. And last but not least, the opposition of the body. So the opposition of the movement of one part of the body to another serves the dancers in several ways. First, opposing facilitates greater extensions. Second, maintaining placement. And then lastly, balance or controlling weights. For example, when raising your arm, the shoulders should go down, and the direction of their movements creates an opposition. It could be upward or downward at the same time. So in order to maintain a right placement of the upper trunk, you need to balance or control your weight para di ma-outbalance. So the picture here in the screen represent the opposition of the body.
Next is the jazz dance styles. First is the cakewalk. This particular style of dance is very significant compared to other forms of jazz dance. While all jazz goes back to the times of slavery, the cakewalk stands out. It was a socially acceptable way for slaves to make fun of their masters. The dances were usually held at the owner of master's house and the form of a competition. The winning dancers would receive cake as their prize. The dancers would line up and high step in a straight line as if to mock the wealthy aristocrats and masters they served under. So nindot din siya sayawan no kay ilang i-present sa ilang masters, and then maka-receive sila cake as their prize. Kanindot ana no magsayaw-sayaw din maka-receive og cake no kung ilang price kay cake laisyo siya. Next is the Charleston. Rising in popularity during the 1920s, the Charleston remains to be popular dance today. It involves pivoting the feet in and out while straightening and bending the knees. Mag-pivot siya. In and out ko ang pivot. The dancer will shift their weight from foot to foot. O sige, so kanila siyang sayawa kay mostly ang iyang gamit kay ang weight jud nato no ari sa foot, and each foot is underweighted. It kicks out an oblique angle. So nindo ta ani sayawa kay kuan tiil ang ilahang kuan jud murag gamit kaayo. Next is the Broadway jazz. This type of jazz is one of the most popular kinds for live audiences. So naradi sa live audiences para ni siya sa live. Nindot siya kung live nga sayaw. Tanawan ninyo ang picture pa lang gani, makafeel na tanga nice good siya nga sayaw, no? The dances are often seen in Broadways, musicals in New York, theaters, yes, theaters kay ang theaters kay live man gyud na. Then and productions like Mamma Mia, Cabaret, and Cats. So nindot din siya nga sayaw kay Broadway dance. Next is the Afro jazz. The Afro jazz style combines the modern form of dance with its original African ethnic roots. The dance focuses more on rhythm and improvisation. Improvisation then making it simpler but very cultural. Cultural ay nindot siyang sayaw kay cultural. Nag-focus siya more sa rhythm. Next is the jazz pop or pop jazz. Kani nga sayaw is mo jud niya tong makitaan bisan asa kay bisag kita atong mga sayaw sa mga TikTok or unsa pa na pop jazz na siya. These styles evolved from modern jazz dance culture and has grown to include elements of vogue, street dance, disco and walking. So kita tanan naka pop jazz na di ay ta kanang mga sayaw na to karon uso-uso or manayaw tag fiesta-fiesta, manayaw tag mga street dance, disco, unsa pa na dira muna siya pop jazz. So mas nagamit na to ang pop jazz karong panahon na kay wala man kayo ganan magchatcha, di ba? Pop jazz na ta kasagaran. So last is the Latino jazz. Latino jazz combined with elements of samba and salsa. Latino jazz is usually performed under Latin American rhythms. Unsay samba katong samba kay more on hawak-hawak man na sila good. So nindot na siyang Latino jazz. So mao na siya, perform na siya under Latin American rhythms.
So, to summarize everything, we can say that the origins of jazz dance can be traced back to African and Caribbean descent, and the beginning of jazz age started in 20s and 1930s. Jazz dance is a fun dance style that relies heavily on originality and improvisation. It consists of unique moves, fancy footwork, big lips, and quick turns. So to excel in jazz dance, you need a strong background in ballet as it encourages grace and balance. So that's all for today. Thank you and God bless.